Okay, week 12 in Linguistics 102. We have no new material for this week, so I thought I'd spend this week's video focusing on the final paper, the one that's due next Thursday, April 15th. Last week we covered historical linguistics. Don't forget that the quiz for that is incorporated into the final exam, which will also be happening next Thursday. That's April 15th. I really want everyone to be as clear as possible. The final exam is on April 15th. The final paper is due the same day. Right. Okay, so there are still people notifying me of what external resource they want to use in the final paper. That's great. There are still, as of this recording, 17 people who have not officially chosen a resource to write about. Please let me know your topic as soon as possible. If you don't let me know, then there is a chance you'll accidentally overlap with someone else who didn't let me know. I will not accept multiple papers on the same topic. If I get overlap, I will let you know, and you will have to redo the paper on a different topic. There's a 10% penalty for late submissions each day, and I will not grant extensions just because you didn't get around to notifying me of your topic early enough. All right. I've been getting a few questions about length too, and I thought this would be a good chance to clarify the overall point of the paper and calibrate expectations a bit. So this connections paper has two main goals. One is for you to show me that you've understood and retained some of the material that we've covered over the semester. And the other is to give you a chance to reach outward, to connect that material you learned to the world beyond this course. I know that a lot of you won't take another linguistics course after this. That's totally fine, but you will use language. You will have moments when you need to think about and make decisions based on how language works in the world. Up to now, all of our work has been focused around learning facts and making connections between those facts, applying them to little fragments of language data, reasoning around them, and to the extent that we've reached beyond the textbook and drawn in some of the world around us, it's been mediated by what I think is interesting, based on the questions that I ask you, right? I'm hoping that you can bring some of your own interests and personality into this assignment in your choice of what external resource and in the way that you draw connections between that resource and the material we've covered. How will you do that? Well, the assignment sheet lays out 4 sections that your paper should include. An introduction and conclusion, of course, and then 2 sections in the body. And in each section of the body, you connect the external resource to one of the 9 modules we've covered over the semester, from language classification right at the beginning through historical linguistics last week. For each connection, I'm looking for you to connect to at least 3 of the concepts that we covered in that module. Things like markedness in the typology section in week 2, or the order of acquisition of phonemes that we discussed in the first language acquisition section in week 6, or the ways that change spreads through a language in last week's exploration of historical linguistics. So I want you to spend a bit of time on each of those concepts. Plan to have 3 paragraphs for each of those 2 sections, 1 paragraph connecting to each concept within that module. Okay? In each paragraph, I want evidence that you understand that concept from the module, and I want evidence that you have a clear idea of how that concept connects to the resource that you're using. So each paragraph is kind of connecting to the course and to your resource, right? All of this should mainly be expressed in your own words. It's okay to include a small number of brief quotes from the textbook or other sources, but most of the work must be done in your own words. Now, I always shy away from giving specific word counts or page counts because I don't want to unduly constrain whatever your natural style is, right? Some of us are naturally very wordy. Others are very terse, and that's fine. What I'll be marking isn't strictly speaking your length, but whether you've satisfied what I mentioned above and what I mentioned in the assignment sheet. Having said that, here are some rough guidelines. I think it'd be really hard to include everything that I'm after in less than 2 pages with single spacing, normal font and size and whatnot, and not including any images. And if your write-up is already 5 pages long, it probably doesn't need more length, although there may be other things that it needs based on what's in the rubric. My hope is that the grading rubric that's included at the end of the assignment sheet can help guide you toward what is needed. It's not just there for show. The rubric is what I'm going to be using to determine your mark on this paper. Okay? So what else do people ask about? There's style. I've included in the assignment sheet all the stuff that I think is relevant here. The main goal is clarity, right? Make it clear who you are, what you're writing about, what your resource is, and where you got your information from. If you only draw from the textbook and from your resource, then those are the only things you need to cite. If you draw from other sources, mention them. Okay. I've specified the sections that you'll need, right? Introduction, connection to one module, connection to another module, and then a conclusion. So, and please include a heading for each section. That's kind of standard in technical academic writing. And it makes it much easier for me to follow the flow of your paper. As far as reference and citation style, I really don't care which style you use. There's a lot of styles out there available for academic purposes, and pretty much any of them will work. Pick one and use it consistently. Do you feel like including images? That's totally fine too. My main advice is the same as I would apply to each sentence that you include in your text. Only include it if it advances the purposes of the paper, and if you don't have a better way to communicate what it conveys, right? I'm sure that you have more questions, or you will come up with more questions as you go. This week's tutorial will be all about me answering questions, addressing issues that come up, helping people along in the paper. Okay, you're welcome to contact me for one-on-one discussion too, although of course my time is not infinite, and the later you leave it, the less chance that I will be able to find a time to meet up with you soon enough to be helpful. And finally, I have offered to review early drafts and make comments. This is not an offer to pre-mark your papers, much as I'd love to do that. I just don't have the time. What I'm offering to do is look at a paper and answer one or two specific questions that you ask about it. Questions like, are these references clear enough? Or does the discussion in the sociolinguistics connection go deep enough? That kind of thing. And because, as I said, my time isn't infinite, I'll do that for anything that's sent to me before this Thursday, before this week's tutorial. Okay, after that, I may have time, I may be able to get to it, but absolutely no guarantees. All right, so there we go. I hope that's clarified some of your questions and helped you to sort of get moving. I know that term papers can be a source of stress for a lot of people, and we've all had our fill of stress over the past few months. I've set up this assignment to be as easy as possible on everyone's time and emotions and everything, while still providing me with enough substance to assess your learning. Big part of, assessed stuff. If you haven't picked an external resource to connect to, please do that now. If you're finding it difficult to select something, let me know and I may be able to help nudge you in a good direction. If you've picked a resource but you're encountering barriers in writing up, let me know that. If you're going along fine but you want some encouragement or whatever, I'm happy to do that too, right? I am here to help out through this in whatever way I can, given the time and everything else. So we're almost there. We're almost there. You've learned a whole bunch. This is a chance to take what you've learned and do something that you choose with it, right? You pick the resource, you pick what connections you want to make. So I hope that's going all right for everyone, and I will see you soon.